committee to support proposed budget.
This public hearing is, the charter says we have to hold the public hearing for the final adoption of the budget. We've been through the budget many times in the past few months. The commission has had a great deal of involvement in it. The process went really well. Tonight you see just a little different format. The budget will be approved as a resolution, so it's in a little bit different format than the way we presented it. But everything is there, more of a summary type format. But along with the millage rates and the required language that we have to have in the resolution. So as far as the city mills, nothing has changed from last year. And as far as the details of the general fund and the other funds, all the numbers are in the resolution as presented. Are there any questions for me?
I see that we have some information on the Depot Park Pavilion. Do we need to set rates for that now, or is that something we can change or add in later?
For the fee schedule,
Yeah, the fee schedule.
I believe we can approve the fee schedule tonight and amend the fee schedule later.
Okay.
I noticed that the Parks and Rec Committee had a recommendation on that. I believe so. Yeah, we can amend the fee schedule later.
Commissioners, any questions for Paul?
Is this the last step?
This will be the last step. Later on in the meeting, we'll approve the budget. And then, of course, as I mentioned a few times, as things come up during the year, budgets can be amended. So there will be amendments going on as unexpected things come up, whether it be on the revenue side or the expenditure side. So it is a living, breathing, working document. But this is a major hurdle here to start our fiscal year.
Nothing else? Okay, we're here to public. Here's the comments. Did the public have anything to say about budget comments? Okay, I will close this public hearing, and looks like we are on schedule for our second public hearing. We'll open our second public hearing to hear comment and review the status of the 2009 Housing Resource Fund grant for the Nori location.
Community Development Office has been busy wrapping up the 2009 Housing Resource Fund grant for the Nori location. The grant was in the amount of $200,000 with $43,900 for administration. To date, the city has expended $238,373. The public hearing tonight is just a requirement of the state of Michigan to wrap up the grant. The grant period was from June 30th to December 31st, 2012, with a 6-month extension to June 30th, 2013 because of weather. We rehabbed 16 applicants, 15 homes were rehabbed to date, with 1 more nearing completion. So we're trying to wrap it up by the end of the month. Any questions? It was a great project.
So Karen, everyone who applied, they're going to be eligible?
Well, they apply and they go through a process where they have to be, qualified.
But it was nice to see that. It says there were 16 applicants and it looks like 16 projects. It's nice to see.
And they pretty much knew they were,
Oh, okay.
in the beginning, before we had them go through all the paperwork and stuff, they pretty much knew they were going to be able to get the grant. We just ran out of money. For more.
Some questions, commissioners? This is a public hearing. If anybody in the public wishes to speak, have comments, concerns? No? I will close this public hearing. And according to my schedule, we have 2 minutes before the next public hearing. Okay, I have 525 on my computer, so call the zoning board of appeals to order, recording the roll.
All present except for Commissioner Gare, who has an excuse absent.
Open the public hearing. Our public hearing tonight is to hear comment on a variance for a garage to be erected on 527 Bundy Street, Ironwood, Michigan, that exceeds the maximum square footage for accessory structures and erecting an accessory structure without principal structure on site. It's my understanding that we talked about this last week. I wasn't here. I don't know if Dennis has any input on this.
I'll give you a full presentation at the last meeting.
Okay.
It was continued. We didn't have a full commission at that time, and we wanted the full commission hopefully to be there. Again, one commissioner short. Just so you're aware, it does take a 2/3 vote or 4 of the 5 commissioners to potentially pass this and already pass.
And that's elected officials, not just who is present tonight.
Correct, yes. And is anything more on the variance request? Was for a garage? Maybe just a little bit of details on it. Just to refresh everybody's memory.
Mr. Minklich is requesting a variance to build a garage on this lot. He had purchased a lot maybe 2 or 3 years ago. There was a blighted house on the property. He has since torn that down. There was a garage on the property that was in poor condition. He has since taken that down. Requested to rebuild another garage, a little bit larger than what is allowed that size lot on that property. The property isn't large enough to build another principal structure on it.
It's not.
So that part of it kind of makes it hard to build a garage with a principal residence since you wouldn't be able to build one on that lot. It is right on an alley. All of the other adjoining properties have garages on the alley, and so he's requesting us to rebuild that one there. So there's two votes, I believe. One is for to be able to put a structure on there without having a principal residence, and then the other one is to have a garage larger than what is permitted. And it's 26 by 26 is the size that could be built there. He wants to go with a 28 by 32, which is 220 square feet larger than what is allowed.
Now, 26 by 26 would be allowed if there was a principal.
If there was a principal residence on there, yes. Any other questions about it, or
I do not.
Mr. Mickles is here to
Okay. Mr. Nichols, do you have anything you want to add at this time?
This property is Kitty Corner of the property you own already. Correct. We've gone through this last week.
It's just the width of the alley separates my home with a garage on it and his property.
What kind of garage do you intend to put up? Not a pole building, just a normal size garage?
Stick-built garage, yes. Like I said, I would like to build it 28 by 32. The only thing that's on that property right now, I took down a home that was 30 by 25, a 24 by 20 garage was on that property, and they were basically blight. And I didn't realize I was going to run into a problem. I would have built that other garage with that house on there before, and if I had known, what your stipulations were. But it is what it is.
Are there other garages in that area that are bigger than 26 by 26?
One on each side of that property are 24 by 28. Right across the street, there are 2 garages that are, I just paced them to 30 by 32, okay? And they're right across, and they have to come through their property onto the main road. They don't even go into the alley to get out. Everybody on where my garage would be goes right out into an alley. And I'm sure that every garage on an alley variance to be built because none of them are legal by meeting code as far as restrictions back from work, from alley or anything like that. I would like to build it, center it into that property so there'd have plenty of property on both sides. There is no gas, no sewer, nothing on that property.
When would you anticipate construction starting if this were to be approved?
About last April. You know, right now, the person that's supposed to do the excavating is working on 2 projects. The person that's supposed to be helping me with the masonry work is on another job. So I'm guessing that I would start this, I'm leaving town, maybe gone for 3 weeks, actually a month, and then doing a Little League World States with Sandy Fontecchio, et cetera. So I'm guessing within a month. I would like to have the groundwork, Howard said he'd probably be able to get there at the end of this week, beginning of next week. And I don't know when I get the concrete down, as soon as I can get the base in.
So it'll be this year.
Oh, yes, it will be before September, I would want it done.
I guess my feelings haven't changed since last week. The zoning law is there to prevent like an industrial type business building into a residential neighborhood, for instance, but it should have some grade to it. It doesn't need to be black and white, I don't think.
I have one more question. How tall is the garage?
A normal garage, it had 8-foot walls, it'd be 1 block high.
So normal height?
A normal, it would be no different than the garages on either side, except theirs are 28 feet long and 24 feet wide. Mine would be 28 wide, 32 long. That's what I would do.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions?
How long would the driveway be? The alley?
You could park the truck, it's gonna be bad that I could park my truck in front of the garage without being in the alley.
Okay.
And I would say that would be the only garage in that alley of the 10 that are in there that can legally do that. Everybody else's garages are right up to the alley.
Any other questions? Thank you. This is a public hearing. Are there any other members of the community that would like to speak on this item? I guess I was not here at last meeting, so I guess I would be interested to hear what the commissioners have to say on this topic.
Basically, that I think the zoning law we should be able to grant the variance. It doesn't need to be black and white. This is why we have a zoning board of appeal, is to deal with situations like this. Here we have an Ironwood resident that's lived there for quite some time. He's got property, kitty corner from his property that is going to be useless to virtually anybody else. I've taken a ride by there. The garage is not going to be an eyesore. It'll look good. I'm sure it'll make it look good. And it's not going to be a detriment to the neighborhood. And nobody else has, none of the neighbors have filed any opposition to it. And I think that's important too.
So there have been no neighbors that have complained or addressed concerns?
No, we haven't received any.
I kind of looked this over, and so far I kind of agree with Commissioner Power that, getting the information that the lot is too small to build principal buildings, so I don't think we should require a principal building. So I think a garage should be allowed. And my thoughts are that since there will not be a principal building on the lot, that the size of the garage that he is requesting does not seem to alter the character of the neighborhood. I know the properties, I did take a look up there, are well kept, and there seems to be other garages that are in that area that are a little bit bigger than the 26 by 26.
The neighbor that is next to it, that, I guess one was vacant from my understanding, is that one of the properties, or one of them, a vacant building, or?
Well, there's nobody in there right now.
No. And the other one, it seems newer, but it doesn't really don't think, just looking at it, that it would be a problem for those, even if it would be an obstruction. And given that the property is so close to his home, it's important.
Any other public comment? I will close the public hearing, and that takes us to item 6, consider action on the variance request. Commissioners care to move, we do have to vote with all 4 of us voting yes, that is my assumption.
Right, there actually are two different actions to consider. In the memo, the back of the memo, that Mike had written, the first motion would be to consider granting or denying variance in the zoning ordinance to allow a garage to be erected at this location. And the second one is for the side variance. So again, the first one doesn't pass, or does pass, it has to be 2 separate motions. And each one has a different vote. First one has to be a 2/3 vote, or 4 of the 5 commissioners, even if one is missing, still need 4 votes to pass it. The other is just a majority.
Which one is the majority?
The size would be the second one. First one would be
So one thing to consider is if you want to wait till we have the full commission.
Well, I hate to make somebody wait over and over again, and I know, I look at this and I see something that you can't force somebody to build a house on a lot that's just not gonna support it. The garage is not, I think that out of reach, 28 by 32 garage, since it's gonna be centered on the property. I don't think it changes the character of the neighborhood, so I feel comfortable.
Although we need 4 votes that are,
Okay.
just
Just for the first motion, correct? Okay, all right. I will make a motion that we allow, I think I'll word this. Allow our variance for the garage to be erected on 527 Bunday Street without a principal building.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mayor Corcoran, second by Commissioner Tower to allow a variance for a garage to be erected on 527 Bundy Street without a principal building. Any further discussion or concerns?
Well, I just have to say that I don't want to be the bad guy here, that's not my goal. Mine just, as a public official, I look at the law, I'm looking for a way to vote for this. And if we're going to vote for this variance, we really ought to amend our zoning ordinance so that we don't have to face this, because this really does not comply in any way, shape, or form with our zoning ordinance. It just doesn't. No, Mayor Corcoran has brought up that the lot is too small and the neighbors don't object. And those are actually, they sort of answer some of the points that that our community development director brought up. So if we do grant this, we really need to look at our zoning ordinance and say, do we want this? Do we want to have it in there that you can't build a building on a lot without principal structure? Is this something that as a city we want to have? So it's just, otherwise staff doesn't know what to do.
I think, there's a reason to have that in the ordinance. I think it's good for us to go through this process of considering it. There are unique, in the list, there's different things such as character of neighborhood, capacity of roads, infrastructure, and public services, and unique circumstances. And those kind of fit to, it isn't that we're completely ignoring it. And I think it's important, I understand why there is that rule in zoning, and I think it's important to not change that. When we go through the comprehensive plan, we can, I guess, that process would change things as they're needed. But I actually think it's good that we went through this process for this particular building.
Well, Commissioner Todd does a valid point as well. You have your rules of black and white, and you have your zoning board of appeals, where you can appeal something that's black and white. And my thoughts are to erect this building, this garage without a principal building. I don't think that we should force somebody to erect, another principal building so I think we are addressing it, and we are,
Well, another day we can have a discussion about why we have that ordinance.
That's why we're voting, that's why we have this process, you know, we are the zoning board of appeals. You bring it before us, so we can talk about it.
But it doesn't answer the more basic question of why we have this in our code of ordinances, why we have this regulation.
I can understand, you know, if you have a garage that's in the neighborhood, somebody builds it, but they don't live in the area, and it's, you know, just seldom used, or maybe it would either not be kept up, because it's not something so significant as a house if they live out of the area. So I think there's reasons for that to be there.
Right.
That makes sense.
I agree.
any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Corcoran and a second by Commissioner Tower to allow for the variance for a garage to be erected on 527 Monday Street without a principal building. No further discussion, can I do a roll call?
Seymour.
Yes.
Shackelford.
Yes.
Tower.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Okay, that takes us to the second part of the variance of the zoning ordinance to allow a 896 square foot garage to be erected that exceeded the maximum square footage requirement of 676. So I think the normal was 26 by 26, and we're looking at 28 by 32. Again, my comments kind of stand since there's not a principal building located on the property, and that the garage would be centered within the property, that I would support the 28 by 32.
I agree. I'll make the motion to grant the variance.
Support. Motion by Commissioner Towers, second by Mayor Corcoran, to allow the variance for a garage to be erected on 527 Bundy Street that would exceed the maximum square footage requirement of 676 feet and allow the 896 foot garage to be erected. Any further discussion or concerns? Can I do a roll call?
Shackelford.
Yes.
Tower.
Yes.
Seymour.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. I'd like to adjourn the zoning board of appeal. It looks like we are on schedule for our regular meeting. I would like to call our regular meeting to order and please join me for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
recording in the room.
All present except for Commissioner Care who has to receive actions.
Item C, approval of the consent agenda. Are there any changes we need to be aware of?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Shackelford, second by Commissioner Tower to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion or concerns? Roll call.
Tower.
Yes.
Seymour.
Yes.
Shackelford.
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item D, approval of the agenda. Any changes we need to be aware of?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
I second that. Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Shackelford to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion or concerns? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item E, citizens wishing to address the commission on items on the agenda, a 3-minute limit, please. And if you are able, please approach the podium and state your name. Nope. Okay. That brings us to audience. Eric Anderson, Pioneer Road, weight limits on South Range Road. Eric, if you could approach the podium and
My name's Eric Anderson. I live in Ironwood Township, but we have to drive through the city to get to our house. I'm asking the city commission to consider changing this road limit on South Range Road, that's from Pine Street to Norrie Park Road, from a 5-ton to a 15-ton rating. And I'm requesting this change because many vehicles, residents, personal vehicles, light commercial vehicles, service vehicles in the 5 to 15 ton range currently use the road, and I believe that the 15 ton load limit will not increase traffic, and I do believe it will not damage the road. I think the intention of that 5 ton limit was just to prevent damage from the big logging trucks and semis and dump trucks and things like that. And I've listed some of the common vehicles in the 5 to 15 ton class. Maybe some people that aren't familiar with vehicles wouldn't recognize a 3/4 ton pickup truck with a snow plow, and a pickup box full of firewood, a 1/2 ton pickup truck pulling 2 horses and a trailer, lawnscape truck pulling a trailer with some lawnmowers, mowing people's lawns, a single axle delivery truck, fuel truck, school bus, charter bus, small utility truck, a pickup truck with a skid steer, a Schwann food truck. These are all examples of vehicles in that 5 to 15 ton range.
So vehicles that are that large, where do they go, how do they have to get in?
Well, currently it's real common for them to use that road. And I guess I'd like to see the sign say that, if that's what's intended. Otherwise, they would be able to go down Norrie Park, is it called Norrie Park Trail? Norrie Park or South Davis Road. So, Van Busker is a 5 ton and South Range is a 5 ton.
Scott, what is the process for changing from a 5 to 15 ton road?
Process, so we talked about that a little bit before with the public safety director. Again, we would recommend a process of probably a public hearing, and then you'll get input from the neighbors on the road, and then we'd have more of a dialogue that way. And then if it's something we want to pursue, then from public safety, they can do a traffic control order to change it, get that commission outright.
Are there any structural issues with that road at 15 tons?
We're 5 to 15, and we haven't done a design on it, analysis, but it's as strong or probably stronger than a lot of our local roads. Just looking at the section, the asphalt and gravel that's there. So 5 to 15 ton should not hinder the durability of the road. Again, those are pretty standard vehicles that are already driving on it. Again, you get, I think the intent here many years ago, I guess I don't know, I wasn't here, but just talking to people, it was to keep the bigger, larger trucks, as I mentioned, off of that road, larger logging trucks, dump trucks, that kind of thing. Again, going to get a public hearing process is quite important, just to get the feedback from the neighbors. I think they do watch that road very closely, and may or may not have input on this discussion.
And if we had moved ahead with this process, is there any estimated cost to doing this, just the signage then?
It would just be a couple of signs and or anything else cost-wise.
It would just be the signage and
Probably 2 signs, one on either end. Very minimal cost.
So, okay.
Go ahead.
From the Aurora Club to Pine Street, is that up 15, is that rated for that?
No, that's not posted right now. So again, just like all our local streets, if they're not posted, the only time you have restrictions is during weight limits. I mean, springtime when everything's stopped. So technically, even on our local streets, unless it's posted, there isn't a limit such as we have posted here. So that section beyond Pine Street to North Club, there's not a posting on that I'm aware of. I think it's that section Pine through to North Park Road.
We don't have too many roads that are posted, other than that one
And Buster,
and Westford.
right? They're really fun on that posted.
My primary concern is increased truck traffic and road durability. So I would be in favor of one. I held a public hearing with the neighborhood, come to a public hearing, let us know what they think. But as we've said, I don't know if there will be too much change to traffic on the road either.
It seems to meet the needs of some of the people who live out there as far as
with the lines and, thinking about one horse and then. So,
Yeah, I'd be interested in scheduling a public hearing as well to hear what folks have to say.
You need a motion?
If you would.
You need an egg in the motion?
I would
You're
suggest,
just nodding your head.
I would suggest to put out for maybe 2 meetings so we have time to get it properly posted and noticed. So,
I'll make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for the request to change the weight restrictions on South Ridge Road. And I'd like that hearing to be scheduled for the first meeting in July.
A second that?
Motion by Commissioner Seymour, second by Commissioner Schauber to schedule a public hearing to address the 5 to 15 ton change in the road for July, first meeting in July. Does that work? Any further discussion, concerns?
For that, would the residents that live along that road be, having, be informed about?
it's a short enough route, we would do a direct mailing to everybody between Pine and Norrie Park Road, and then a general notice in the newspaper.
Any further discussions or concerns? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. Presentation, Andrew DeGiorgio, Director of Public Safety, update on light enforcement.
I think it was back in April, I had Scott and Jason, or Jason's new role with DPW to alleviate some of his workload. Our department took on not the full responsibility. Jason is still the point of contact, but we provide him with some resources. Liz does a lot of the paperwork, and while the officers are patrolling, they have a camera, they're told to take pictures, and we'll determine if they're light structures or junk vehicles. And then Liz will send out a letter, and Jason's part of that process. We'll show him some pictures that we have questions or concerns, so he's very much part of the process yet. But basically, it has allowed us to do this during our patrol, so it hasn't really increased our workload. We've sent out 42 letters as of April 1st, and I think we've just sent out about 7 or 10 second notices. And starting June 1st was the lawn grass season, and we've sent out about 10 notices. Jason and Dennis receive a lot of those complaints, and they just forward them to us. So it's been working very well, and I think it's allowed everyone to continue doing what they need to do, and it's allowed the city to continue fighting blight effectively. So, do you have any questions?
There was I can't think of the address of that, there's a house that was in the downtown that I know was in the process of the blight process. I was wondering if there was an update on that building as to the fabric.
Okay, that's gone through the criminal process, and I don't know, there's a warrant. Okay, that's the, okay, I'll show you that with the plastic run. There is a warrant for that individual. He does live in Wisconsin. It's a non-extraditable warrant, so it's not like we can go and make him come here. So unless he appears within Bolivia County, the process kind of stands where it's at. I can talk to Michael Pope and see what the other options are, but typically for the criminal process, that's where it's going to lay until he comes to Bolivia County. So.
And this particular structure is more of a structural improvements to the building. It's not just going on, we've gone in and with commission direction and cleaned up properties. This will actually be doing, some work to the outside of the house. So it's a little, it's the next step in blight enforcement, I guess, and we'll have to move through and see what other options that we have on that particular issue.
But what I can do for you, Liz is having some computer troubles. Print you out the list of everybody that's received the letter, so that you guys can see the areas that we enforce blight. And there's always a lot of this complaint driven. People calling the offices and letting us know that there's a concern here and a concern there. So it's been very effective, especially with the patrolling of the officers. That's the one benefit we've had where Jason was. He was patrolling around, but we put a lot more miles on, so we've been able to see some other things, so it's been a pretty good process.
Well, thank you for helping out with that. Questions, concerns? Takes us to old business. Item H, review and consider resolution 013-016, approving an appropriations act for fiscal year 13-14, including the budget establishment of 2013-14 millage rates for city services and authorizing the collection of a 1% tax and administration fee and adopt 2013-14 fee schedules. I think we had heard from Paul. I don't know if there's any other action, if you want to set the rate for the depot pavilion, or is that something you just want to address later?
I kind of like the Parks and Rec approach, which was free this year. Let's get people in there using it, and let's set a fee for the next season. That would seem to be the spirit of Parks and Rec.
Right.
Let's get people using it. That's my opinion.
Have you had anybody request for the pavilion yet?
Not yet. I'm sure
And
that'll be.
I'm sorry. And also just being able to reserve it in any case, even though there's.
All right, so there's no need to really rush into the rate for the pavilion, then I assume?
I think we should keep the rate low. I like I think like $20 for Norrie Park. I think that's the fee for the pavilion, isn't it?
Right.
For city
It's a
residents.
reservation only for North Park right now. And there is no security.
I think an important thing to consider too, that Karen just mentioned for the parks or pavilion, I don't mind a low price or maybe a higher price, but a refundable part of it for the cleanup and return, just so we have,
That way we know.
yeah,
what's in there.
some kind of security.
I think we should just charge something, but it should not be something unreasonable for city residents. In fact, I would like to see the non-resident rate increase. You know, because city residents and taxpayers have already paid for these facilities to be constructed. We should give them more of a benefit, I guess you would say, than non-residents, which are only $5 more. So something to ponder, I guess.
Okay.
If we want to have a deposit, do we have to make that part of our fee schedule?
Yes, you
Yes.
I think that's pretty critical. Mandatory.
Yeah, so the Parks and Rec recommended $75 for the deposit.
That's a reasonable sum we deposit to you.
Okay, so they will bring in $75 as a deposit to reserve it, is that correct? And then it will be refunded to them.
Everything's paid.
Everything's paid.
Not okay.
Yeah.
Basically a security deposit.
Right, I get that.
And that's effective for this year, you asking them?
Yeah, I would say that we need to have a deposit no matter what case we're
So you're requesting a deposit and we'll examine the fee at a later date.
I could go with Commissioner Towers thought about a modest fee.
I don't think $20 is unreasonable for the pavilion, for rental, for the evening or for occasion. Nonprofits are still nothing. You still don't charge anything.
And it's really to reserve it, so if someone just wanted to use it, I mean, you can use it at any time.
Right.
If they wanted to reserve it for a function or activity, then you would have that fee applied.
I guess I think that makes sense, and I also like the idea that non-residents should pay more. About 20 or 50 for this first year.
Well, so we're not doing the free for the first year, are you?
Commissioner Towers suggested a modest fee, and I think that's not a bad idea.
Is that unreasonable?
It's not a reasonable fee, just.
I'm fine with the first year being free. I mean, it's not completed this summer yet, so half the summer's on too, so I'm fine with that also.
Okay, all right, well, can I make a resolution, how do we modify this?
Yes, just so I get it clear, okay. It's gonna be a $20, so we'll collect $95 up front if they're gonna reserve it.
They're gonna make their motion yet.
We're still.
Should we include the Norrie Park in there also to make them the same, or?
I thought that would be a good idea, just to make them the same. But the one in the depot also has more.
I don't want to see us we're not going to forget to fix this next year, are we?
Next budget cycle, we come back, again, we'll go back to Park and Rec, you know, have them provide some more input on the fees as a recommendation to the commission, so, you know, if you want to give it 1 year, it's up to you, but we would.
I would still be happy to see the first year basically just be fine. motion that for this first year, we charge a $75 deposit and no fee for reserving.
Is a motion, just as a question, to approve this item and then amend the fee schedule to include that?
Would it be better for you?
The action on agenda is for the whole budget, which includes the fee schedule.
All right, well, here's what I'll do then. I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 013-016 and add to the fee schedule the $75 deposit for reserving the depot park mobility. That's it.
I second that.
Can I say something? And do you want to increase the non-residential fee?
Well, we're not gonna have a fee at all this first year. And I don't think it's gonna be,
The deposit's just
Hopefully
reserved,
this gets
I think
to be-
it's certain, and then I think we can address it better next year, since there's factors of resident, non-resident, and kitchen, non-kitchen. I think that warrants up a little bit more discussion tonight. All right, motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Shackelford to approve resolution 013-016 as presented, or approve the resolution 013-016 and amend it to include a $75 deposit for the reservation of the depot park in its fee schedule. Any further discussion or concerns? Roll call.
Seymour?
yes.
Shackelford?
Yes?
Coward?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes. Item I, discuss and consider application for one-day liquor license for a special event at the Alabama Civic Center for July 19th for cage fighting and October 4th for Battle of the Bands.
This has come before the County Commission before, you've probably seen this. The application will be processed through the city, but Civic Center takes care of all the insurance, all the paperwork, all the process associated with this. And we haven't had any issues in the past when we've done this that I'm aware of. Andrew?
No, it's not very well, so.
And the Civic Center pays for that.
I'll make a motion that we grant the licenses requested in item I.
Second by? Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Shackelford to approve the application as presented in item I. Any further discussion or concerns? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item J, discuss and consider approval of change order number 8 for Wagner Construction's balance quantities. Excuse me. Extend the contract time to July 9th, 2013, and authorize mayor to sign all applicable documents.
And again, we're coming to the end of the project. They're still working on paving and cleanup items out there. A lot of restoration work here still needs to get completed. This is a balancing change order, basically going through adjusting quantities of actual work that's been installed and paying for that. When you come to the end of a project such as this, as we get close, there's budgeted dollars, and you have to look at how much we have and how much we have to spend. And either we have a little bit left at the end, or we don't have enough at the end. So what you have here in front of you is a change order that we get balances and quantities. We are also, as they do all the calculations, about a little under $75,000 short, if you will, to finalize everything. And the discussion we had was, do we push back some of the final paving until next year, do it with the next bond, or do we get it done this year? And the recommendation that was included in this change order is to get it done this year. We do have about roughly $75,000 in our sewer fund available to pay for this work, so that, again, the final lift of asphalt can get put on, all the yards can get finally restored to that final location. So again, they're right at the end here, and that's where they're at with the project. So that's the recommendation in this change order, just so you're aware of that. And then the completion date has been extended a little bit to July 9th is the recommendation. With the load limits on and the late winter that was here, contractors weren't able to start work, whether it be Wagner or anybody else, and just gave them a couple-week extension to let them have the time they need to finish up the project. So that's the meat potatoes behind the change order.
We're still going to retain a certain amount until the project is complete then.
Right, there's still is a retainage, Michael.
I should know that. It's in excess of $200,000. I think it's closer to 3, but Please don't quote me on that. But it's a lot of money, yes.
From what I've been able to see, a lot of the rough areas have been fixed, and they're working on others.
They're working, they're out there, a punch list was put together for them. Staff and our consulting engineers go through and put together a list of things that need to be completed. They are working on that. We still have a lot yet to get done, but they're working through that list.
Are they working beyond 4 days a week, or are they doing 5 days?
I believe they've worked, weather permitting, the last 6 days a week for the last 2 weeks. Yes. They have, throughout the week, though, at times they lose a day of rain. As you recall, we get rain here 3 days a week, it seems.
I'm not pleased with extending this again. I want this to be wrapped up, but it seems Mother Nature has not cooperated this year whatsoever.
I would say we're given a really nasty spring. This extension is pretty reasonable, and we certainly want the best job we can get. And I'm in favor of it. So I'll make a motion to approve change order number 8 as described in item J.
I second that.
But then extend the contract time as well.
That's part of the change order.
Well, it's okay.
Yes.
Motion by Commissioner Seymour, second by Commissioner Shackelford to approve change order number 8 as noted in item J. Any further discussion or concerns? We'll do a roll call.
Shackelford?
Yes?
Tower?
Yes.
Seymour?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes. Item K, discuss and consider approval partial pay estimate number 1 to Angelo Lapino in the amount of $117,239.85 for the City of Ironwood Depot Park Improvement Project Phase 2, and authorize mayor to sign all applicable documents.
Again, that project's moving forward. A lot of work has gotten done over there. Peoples are working very diligently on it. You'll see this week, trails being paved, a lot of site work getting done. The building is coming along very well. We're working on the interior, some plumbing, that type of thing. So again, this will be the first progress payment, and then what we'll do, if it is approved, and go and request reimbursement also from the DNR, because we have grant money involved with the cost.
Make the motion to approve the partial pay estimate as described in item K.
I second that. Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Shackelford to approve the partial pay estimate number 1 as described in item K. Any further discussion or concerns? Roll call.
Tower?
Yes.
Seymour?
Yes.
Shackelford?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes. Item L, discuss and consider authorizing advertisement to bid for the remaining entree companions kitchen equipment sale number 2.
We go through the first round of bidding. A lot of the equipment did sell, so we do have a few remaining items. Again, further discount that, we are recommending a 25% discount for those remaining items. We'll go and advertise those competitively, get bids for those, and then bring them back to the city commission.
I'll make a motion we authorize the bids as described in item L.
Second that. Motion by Commissioner Seymour, second by Commissioner Shackelford to authorize the advertisement for bids for the remaining items, entree, companions, kitchen, equipment sale 2. Any further discussion or concerns? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item M, discuss and consider resolution 013-015, approving grant for Michigan's Western Gateway Trail improvements from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Trust Fund.
Again, this is the informal agreement between the city and the DNR. We've seen these many times through the grants that we get through them. This will be for the trail project, the actual bricks and mortar construction of the trail. It's a $225,000 grant, it's $70,000. $225,000 grant with a $75,000 match. And again, the match is coming from, Big City is providing a small portion of that, it was $5,000. And with this, then it'll trigger us to go forward with the design of the project. We already have done some reconnaissance work, just looking at the trail, that needs to be included with the design and the bid specifications. So our intention would be to move this forward yet this year, get it out for bid later this summer, and have that trail constructed in the fall this year.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 013 2023-015 as described in item N.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner DeCimo to approve resolution 013-015 is noted in item M. Any further discussion or concern?
Wow. Just want to say it's very exciting to get that trail paved this year.
Absolutely.
Seymour?
Yes.
Shackelford? Yes. Tower?
Yes.
Carpenter?
Yes. Item N, discuss and consider garage sale ordinance.
Attached in your packet is a proposed ordinance language. I know I've personally discussed this with Brandon and Moni, with Michael in the past. We've had some problems in the past with some garage sales that were going on one side, and what it turns out to be is what we would call blight in the yard, where they put the for sale sign in front of it. Michael has brought this to the planning commission. He's had some experience with areas where they've had an ordinance to deal with this kind of situation. We did research, we found that Marquette and some other utility communities also have a similar ordinance. What was being proposed is that each property could have up to 2 garage sales per year. That's not including, say, Ironwood events such as the citywide garage sale. Each garage sale could be 4 days long. He brought this to the planning commission. They recommended maybe going up to 4 events per year. We're just here to discuss if we want to change anything about it, or I think Michael wants us to the point where we have a public hearing to get this ordinance in effect. I don't know if you guys have any questions or comments or proposed changes.
I like the way it reads right now. I think 2 plus the city, 2 events plus the city wide is probably, honestly, as far as garage sales go. There are certain, residents in the neighborhood or in the city that are having continual garage sales all summer long.
Yeah, we've had some perpetual garage sales in the past.
I think most people have a couple, maybe 2, no more than 4 a summer. I don't know too many people that do.
I'm not passionate about it either way. I just, my thoughts, particularly with the planning commission, my initial thought was for summer, allow somebody to have a garage sale like once a month, May, June, July, August. That was my initial thought, but I'm not passionate about it either way.
Whether we have 2 or 4,
Yeah.
the purpose is to eliminate the continuous concept, and I think either one will accomplish that.
You think 4 is?
I don't think 4 is so terrible because they can only do 4 consecutive days. So, even if there is 4 per year, it's only for 4 days at a time. And that'll keep from the stuff that's just going to have grass growing around it.
Do we need a motion, or do we just?
I'd say motion, to want to direct us to, come back to, have in a public hearing format as official ordinance change.
So a motion to schedule the hearing and adopt the language recommended by the planning commission, is that how maybe we could do it?
That's, yeah, you'd like to.
And they recommended 4, is that correct? And I'll make a motion that we schedule a public hearing for the second meeting in July on the garage sale ordinance, as recommended by the planning commission.
That actually would be a subsection of our blight ordinance, I think. We'll include it in here with the garage sale paragraph.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower to set a public hearing to address the garage sale ordinance for the second meeting in July and adopt the current language from the planning commission to allow for 4 days. Any further discussion or concern? This is 4 events. 4 events. Any further discussion, concerns? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Item O, discuss and consider awarding a bid to purchase 20 nuclear fire hydrants.
City did go out for bids for fire hydrants. We've been trying to replace 20 a year. We've done a really good jump on with all the projects and everything, making really good progress in that area. We did receive 2 bids for the fire hydrants. The low bidder was Ironwood Supply in the amount of $43,800. That is actually just for the hydrant, it's not for installation. So our intention is to install these with our crews.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
So that would be the intent for the summer, then we start taking additional hydrants and get those replaced. And there is money, actually, this would be out of the 2013-14 budget.
Correct.
So if it's approved tonight, we would not order them until after July 1st when the new budget's in place.
How far does that take us as far as completion of the fire rates updated?
Close, but I think we'd still be 40, 50 away, but, I mean, phase 3 is gonna nail a lot too. I mean, we're gonna have another dozen on the highway. Our second phase in Hemlock Street, we're gonna replace another half dozen there. More location, we'll replace a lot more over there. And everything north of the highway, I think is done, or I may have 2 or 3 lots north of the highway.
Make a motion to award the bid to purchase 29 newer fire hydrants to HD Water Supply.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Shackelford, second by Commissioner Seaman to award the bid to purchase 20 nuclear fire hydrants to HD Waterworks Supply for the amount of $43,800. Any further discussion or concerns? Roll call.
Shackelford.
Yes.
Bauer.
Yes.
Seymour.
Yes.
Corrigan.
Yes. Item P, discuss and consider awarding bid for the 2013 street pavement markings.
Again, every 2 years, we do the whole city, go through and repaint all the center lines, the fog lines, stop bars throughout the whole community. On the odd year, we just touch things up a little bit. This is our full year, we go through and paint the whole city. So we did receive 2 competitive bids, Farner Asphalt and PK Contracting. Farner Asphalt was the low bid at $21,073. We do have funds in the budget to pay for this.
We'll make a bid motion to award the bid for pavement marking to Farm Asphalt.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower to award the bid to Farner Asphalt for the street paving and markings, amount of $21,073. Any further discussion or concerns?
I guess one, just a small thing is that I noticed that in front of the schools, you can't really see the crosswalks at all. Is there any way in future years to be able to get those remarked earlier, so once they're faded?
We can, and again, this will take care of everything, including crosswalks. Every other year, like I say, we do painting where it's needed. And again, we do painting with our own crews too, so if there are locations where maybe a crosswalk area by the schools is fading too quickly, we can even do it with our own crew if we need to. So yeah, we can make sure we keep an eye on that and get those done earlier in the season if possible, for all the schools specifically.
So we have a motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Bauer.
Yes.
Seymour.
Yes.
Shackelford.
Yes.
Corrigan.
Yes. Item Q, discuss and consider reappointing Scott Erickson and Bob Turman to the executive priority wastewater board and authority.
Well, I can speak to this one. There's a lot going on with the wastewater plant right now. Basically, we have a huge project upcoming, headworks improvements to the facility. Scott and Bob represent city interests very well on that board. And I didn't change anything right now. With that said, I will move to appoint Scott and Bob back to the Good Environment Wastewater Authority and board.
I will second.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Semo to reappoint Scott Erickson, Bob Turman to the Iron and Wastewater Board and Authority. Any further discussion or concerns? Appreciate you guys, the work that you do there. Thank you much. Anything else? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item R, manager's appointment to the Ironwood Housing Commission.
We do have one opening on the Ironwood Housing Commission board. It has to be someone that's living in the Housing Commission complex. We did receive 8 applicants, which is really nice to see. Usually, it's hard to get 1 or 2, but we did have 8 very good applicants that applied. I reviewed the applications of these individuals. I did interview a couple of them, the ones that looked very, they'd be a good fit with the board that's there. And I'm recommending George Cisco George Seseski, which would be a good fit for the board. For the commission's concurrence.
I will make a motion to approve the manager's appointment to the Ironwood Housing Commission by George Sasaki.
I second that. Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Shackelford to approve the manager's appointment to the Ironwood Housing Commission of George Seseski. Any further discussions or concerns? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item S, manager's report.
Just a few items to highlight. We did have a Make a Difference Day this weekend. Saturday had great weather. A little bit of a low turnout on volunteers, but the ones that did turn out, they did a very good job. They loaded 2 one-ton dump trucks with a lot of debris from around the area. So, you know, this was the sixth year we've done that. So just a nice spring cleaning effort that people call to help us clean up the community. So we want to thank everybody for participating with that. Late last week, we did receive a call from the governor's office. The Lieutenant Governor, Brian Calley, is going to be coming to the UP on a Pure Michigan tour, basically stopping at different communities, Marquette, Bolton, Ironwood was stopping too, a part of the tour from Pure Michigan, basically promoting tourism in the UP. And I think one of the key elements is our trail efforts, really getting a regional effort behind us. We see it as, obviously a catalyst for people coming to the UP and to our area to recreate. So this is going to be on Tuesday, June 18th. They're going to start at Ironwood Fabrics at 1:30. Do a community bike ride into town. Have a little Pure Michigan presentation at our depot. So we do have a reservation at the depot already. They'll keep you down there. And just a way to promote the area, promote tourism in the UP. So again, the public is welcome. They're inviting anybody that wants to do a community ride with the Lieutenant Governor to show up at Ironwood Fabrics prior to 1:30, because they'll be leaving at 1:30 sharp. So again, just a nice way to get a little notoriety for the community and in the area here. Some of the good things that are going on.
Should put a plug in his ear and say one commercial. Since we're a gateway city, Pure Michigan Ironwood starts
This
here.
is a gateway, absolutely. And we'll have his ear here, so we can definitely do that. And we did talk about Depot Park as we're moving along very well with the construction. As you probably recall, there was some effort to get some funding from DIDA, Kiwanis, some other volunteer efforts to put some sod down instead of seeding the area. So a big part of the area around the pavilion is going to be sodded, and we'll be able to seed in various areas. And that'll help things grow a little quicker, get that area established. There's going to be a sod party on this Thursday at 4 o'clock down at the depot. So again, sod's being purchased, trying to keep the cost down. Getting some volunteers to help lay some sod. It should go very quickly down on the semi-board side. So put the word out. Anybody that's able to attend and help out is encouraged to come on down. And we'll get a little cookout afterwards, so they can grill go in and have some brats and some other things for the volunteers that can help with that. Last week we had, and we still have, Northwoods paving in town. We put a lot of asphalt down, both on our water and sewer project and the city project, local street overlay projects. Again, the new Port Heights, kind of an extension of the area behind Jessville, was done. The streets came out very well. I don't know if you had a chance to take a ride through there if you haven't. I think the neighborhoods look very good. They've done a nice job with the work. They're doing some restoration work now, and they'll be around for a little bit to do that. We're also going to have Northwoods paving, do some street patches every year. Over the winter time, we have water main breaks. So, on these street patches, if we don't keep up on them, they can snowball and become difficult to keep up with. So we are working with them to do a bid items for that. So we'll be bringing that back as a change order to the city commission. We do have money budgeted for that. But we would again want to get it done sooner than later, so we're working with Northwoods to help us with some of that work. The EPA is back in town. They came back in today. They're down on the gas plant site doing their final restoration down there. So they'll be around for about a week. Kathy Albert is here. We talked to her today. Again, Public Works is working closely with her on anything they might need to keep our costs down. But we expect within about a week they'll have that site stabilized the way they need it, be able to seed it, and get some trees going in, some plantings, that type of thing. So we'll see activity down there over the next week. Also, our West Air project down in the Flats area, kind of down toward that area, we have the city water and sewer project. That was about $1 million project. Water water, sewer, the streets that we done. Ross Peterson Construction is the contractor working on that, and they are down there raising manholes, getting things corrected, and then some settlements down there, they're getting those fixed, getting yards touched up. Over the next week or two, that area should come back together and pretty well finalized for the summer. Downtown, the DIDA did order flower baskets, so it was all ready. They did hold off. I think the baskets were ready a week ago or so, but because of the weather, and luckily they did, we had a frost last week, so the baskets will be going up this week. And they have a lot more to put up with the new street lights. I think they've at least doubled, if not more, number of baskets that are going up down there. So it was a real nice touch to the downtown streetscape and all the improvements that have been going on down there over the last year. We're also having a trail group meeting. We have the regional group that gets together, working on both the regional non-motorized and motorized trails, all the way from Hurley, all the way into Bessemer and Wakefield. That group is meeting tomorrow as one of the routine meetings, again, working on developing the acquisition plans for both the motorized and non-motorized trails, continuing through. So we got a great group. So this is the Roll Up Your Sleeves group. They get together, kind of cut through any of the issues that are there and figure out how to get things done, and they've been very successful. So luckily that group's been working on all of our behalf. And again, it's a regional group. All communities, all townships are helping out with this effort. The Bessemer is going to be hosting the Michigan Municipal League Region 7 meeting this week, Thursday and Friday, over there. It's the 13th and 14th. So it's nice to have that level of training and information being brought to the western end of the UP. So we have a good representation there. We think everybody that can make it. And again, looking for a couple of good days there to network a little bit and also get some good information out of that meeting. XL Energy, we talked about South Range Road. XL Energy is still working very diligently out there. They have a substation going in. That's a huge project. If you go by there, if you drive back in the site, this is a significant improvement for not only our area, but regionally. And they're working on that. Again, they're getting their site work done, getting the facility in place. They're also working on some of their pole development, getting some of the poles that have to bring power in and out of the plant. So a lot of work going on around town with XL Energy. And last on the list, we did the interview. We have hired 3 part-time seasonal positions to help out DPW. Again, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things that they're working on to get completed. So again, we'll have some assistance for our DPW crew with some part-time summer help to help them out with some of the things they're involved in.
I haven't seen any kind of schedule yet for the Bessemer event.
There is. I can get you one. We're down here. There's a schedule. And,
It's also online too.
yeah. But we do have a print out downstairs.
They also put it online.
On the MML website.
Thank you. Item T, other matters.
Got one little thing. I will be out of the country for the next month or so. I missed the next 2 meetings. Requesting your blessing.
I'll make a motion to excuse Commissioner Seal from the
Next 2 meetings.
next 2 meetings.
So the next 2 meetings. I second that. Motion by Commissioner Towers, second by Commissioner Tractor to approve Commissioner Seal being absent for the next 2 meetings. Any further discussion or concerns? All those in favor of approving his absence, say yea. All those opposed? Motion carries. Any other matters? I just think it's really important that we have a lot of volunteers. They make things happen, so thanks again to those who helped out on Make a Difference Day. The Kiwanis, their donation for the sod, and also that you go to Norrie Park, the pavilion has been repainted and it looks very, very nice, and that was with the Kiwanis help as well. So I do appreciate the help they have brought forward. I do have one item maybe to go up there for consideration, and I don't know if it's feasible or not, if there's any legal route, but in front of the miners mural that we have, is there any way to extend the yellow line so that the cars are not parked in front of the actual mural? So people are taking pictures or viewing the mural on a bench, if that's something that we could consider.
Yeah, we'll look into that then.
Okay. Just thought I'd throw it out there. All right, that's all I have. Any other matters?
A question on the cemetery, how are things coming down there? Are we getting the grass cut and cleaned up a little bit?
The grass was cut, the guys were fattening, picking up leaves, and we had some extra help on there picking up sticks on Friday afternoon, so it's coming along. It's still wet. They still have to pump out all the graves when they dig. But it's coming along, and I think it should be where it needs to be by the end of the week.
I still would like to have a discussion on the cemetery and what improvements it needs, so if we can schedule that sometime.
I was actually going to see if the commission would be available to have a workshop before the next city commission meeting. Maybe at 5, or start maybe an hour earlier, maybe 4:30. And the two topics would be that discussion and also discussing funding for our next round of street paving projects. So that would be workable. You would start an hour before the regular meeting with the workshop.
The workshops work out well for me anyway, as far as having them before the meetings. As far as that workshop, I'd like to request Commissioner Seymour, if you have any input on that, because you brought it to our attention that possibly to do more roads and bring it towards the public to see. And I think that's the part of the
Right,
budget
that
we have
is,
as well.
Well, I'll try to Skype in, but I'll be,
Well, if you have any written
Oh,
information,
okay.
if you want to just kind of shoot an email to
Sure.
ourselves or stuff, so we kind of
I can do
check
that.
if you were.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
I guess also Longyear Park is in not very good shape, just with, I think for years it's been needing wood chips, and I know we've gone for a grant for it, but it's really, the equipment's hardly usable, because it's so bad, and if there's really more wood chips put in. I don't know, we could discuss that with the cemetery, I mean, just the basic maintenance of Longyear Park seems like it's,
Wood chips, in that existing area, that's something we talked about, and it would be a project that, I think the other one, the old ones need to be dug out and probably one project. You could sweep them out with another boat, but I think it's probably a bigger project that replace them all is probably the right way to do it. But we can talk to our DPW people and talk about what kind of strategy we might have to tackle that in some timeframes. That would be helpful. Because I think we can bring out some, wood chips and fill in the whole spots, I think it's a bigger project. Don't you think that just looking at the weeds and the other ones and just kind of.
I guess under the swings, there wasn't anything under it, but there, I mean, I guess it's partly because it's so wet, but it's almost been not usable at all. I mean,
Okay.
it's so muddy, but you're right about probably you have to do some digging out to it, but it's been so neglected for so long that it's in a very sad state.
Okay, sure.
Anything else? Okay. Item U, citizens wishing to address the commission on items not on the agenda. A 5-minute limit, please. And if you are able, please approach the podium and state your name.
Since I've been on the line,
Appreciate the patience.
Elizabeth Lobby. I just moved to Ironwood actually a couple months ago, and I was wondering if there is any possibility of installing some signs with the speed limit. I live on Lake Street between Ayers and US 2, and I see on a daily basis cars speeding, sometimes even 40 miles an hour. And I know it's 25 because it's a residential area. Also, I don't know why this is a famous shortcut. Logging trucks going through the streets. The manholes are sunk already. There are some potholes. The corner of Ayers and Lake was, I've seen people working, patching the potholes, it's all gone, basically a waste of their efforts to patch it because of the heavy trucks. Everyone cuts through that street, and I heard that there will be a project of US 2, and this will be a detour route. It's awful. I don't know why they don't go through that industrial street that's east of us, but they don't. And every single morning we have such a heavy traffic there. It's a nightmare. And the other thing that I would like to ask, and it's the trail, ATV trail. There is an ATV trail, the big one, and then next to it, north to it, there's a smaller one. So from Lake Street west, no ATVs on the smaller one, but east, they cut to go behind my property to Holiday Station. Kids are driving on sidewalk. Every single day, same kids are driving on the sidewalk.
What is your address again?
404 North Lake Street. And I see the same kids every single day. They're just having a ball. The pollution, noise pollution is beyond because of it. Because they're driving next to my house. Why are they not using the regular trail? Why do they have to make a trail? Now, we're trying to really care for our property. My husband is cutting the grass along Lake Street all the way to the trails. It's not even ours, but he's doing it because it looks nice when it's done. But the amount of garbage next to the trails when you walk there, it's just beyond. And it's, I don't know about weight limits on the streets, really not familiar with it very much, but those heavy trucks are ruining the street.
You aren't the first person that's complained about the truck traffic on Lake Street coming downtown. I don't know what we can do to stop it, really, other than, I believe Lake Street's an all-season road, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it's actually an all-season road, so it's tough to restrict truck traffic
But
from
in
there.
order for them to get to the Lake Street, between Ayers and US 2, they're going through the downtown, right?
They're actually coming on McCauley Avenue, I think is where they're coming from,
Yes.
from Burley.
And
That is an all-season road. The strategy we're taking, or efforts we're taking, trying to help with that issue, we have had a couple of public safety officers trained. Andrew, do I kind of go back and through all that?
Officer Sturbins and Officer Snyder just returned from Motor Carrier School, so something I'll be coming to talk to at the next meeting. They can weigh trucks, something we haven't been able to do in the past, and protect the infrastructure, and that's going to be our goal. Like I said, that's something we have in motion to help protect the infrastructure.
Because I've seen those streets coming to this Lake Street, they're in a horrible condition too after the winter, and part of it is probably the heavy trucks.
They'll definitely have an impact on the roads, and I think through this enforcement effort, we can at least address the trucks that are overweight and creating more problems in that area, so hopefully that'll help.
Appreciate it.
Hopefully that'll help. You had mentioned about speed limit signs, Andrew, you want to touch on that versus enforcement type of effort sign?
We could put a speed trailer, it's a mobile speed sign that I think you've seen with the radar, will flash the speeds. That helps. I'll stop by your house and look at those other trails and see what we can do to prevent people from using those trails and look at our various options. And after the meeting, I can meet you and find when a good time would be to do that. So.
Absolutely.
The other question you had was on the intersection of Lake Street and Air Street, how rough that is.
Yes.
The city commission, we have talked about that, they set that as one of their priorities, and they have funds in the budget to redo that intersection. So again, that's a very high-profile intersection. Everybody's aware of the problems, and the commission has budgeted some money to improve that. So now the question is, we'll talk about, before or after the detours on, in place, that type of thing, but there are dollars there to help improve that
So
intersection.
the same thing happened on Lake Street when you come to turn, my site's confused, I think east, from Lake Street by the Holiday Station. There are also potholes, and I'm sure that this is caused by the heavy trucks cutting through, because you can see them, most of the time they turn right on US 2.
They definitely contribute to that, yes.
So, that's the thing.
Okay. Well, thank you, it's a good point for consideration.
Before you go, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that grade that you mentioned, that the ATVs are going on where they shouldn't be. And that actually is going to be the new non-motorized trail that has been talked about here. And in the late summer, paving will begin on that stretch. And right now, the motorized community is using that grade to access the Holiday Station store, but they really can't do that because they have no authorization to use the route that they're using. So that's something that actually has to be addressed, is how are we going to get people from Trail 2 to Holiday? And we're gonna have to sit down with the GRTA and we'll figure out how we're gonna do that.
This goes on private property.
It goes on private property with no
Yes.
permission, yes. It definitely does. And it also uses that grade, which it will not be allowed, that will not be allowed in the future. So hopefully that will answer one of your concerns.
Well, I understand that people have the ATV trail for years, and,
Oh, I think-
it's okay with me. It's just not okay with me to see local kids knowing that they break the law,
Right.
driving on the sidewalk, and when they do it, they obviously have fun doing it, and they know that they're doing something wrong. That really bothers me.
Well, we have a couple of resources that we can try to work with, and maybe, Andrew, you could kind of work with her a little bit, we can address some of these items. Thank you.
One other thing, I guess, in her vein, is it possible by ordinance to restrict truck traffic to a specific road or ban it from a specific road? I don't know if that is or not.
The city can set up truck routes through a city. We had talked about that, and actually, McCall would be your logical truck route, with all season. You did look at where else could you move traffic through again. Just a ban is very, I don't think you can do that. You have to set up routes. Unfortunately, the one that we have a lot of traffic on is kind of a logical truck route. But I think maybe this effort, it can help maybe curtail some of the problems we're seeing. We'll see.
Anybody else? It's just to item J, or item B.